The rain fell softly over the quiet town of Willow Creek, the kind of small American town where everyone knew your name and your struggles. Emma Carter stood beneath a fading street lamp, her black coat soaked through, her fingers wrapped tightly around her son's medical report. The word critical blurred before her eyes. Just 3 years ago, she had buried her husband. Daniel Carter had been a firefighter, brave, selfless, and loved by the entire town. He died saving a child from a burning house. The American flag folded neatly into a triangle still rested on their mantle. But medals don't pay hospital bills. And bravery doesn't stop heart disease. Her 8-year-old son, Noah, lay in a hospital bed at St. Matthew's Medical Center, his small chest rising unevenly. A rare congenital heart defect. The surgery would cost more than she could ever imagine. $280,000. Insurance covered only a fraction. Emma had already sold Daniel's pickup truck. Then her wedding ring. Then the piano Noah loved to play. Now the house was listed. Every memory. Every photograph on those walls. Every birthday candle blown out in that kitchen. Gone. But she didn't hesitate. Because a mother's love does not calculate loss. It sacrifices. At the hospital, Noah smiled weakly when she entered. "Did you bring Max?" he whispered. Max. The golden retriever Daniel had rescued from a shelter the same year Noah was born. Loyal. Gentle. Always sleeping beside Noah's bed. Emma forced a smile. "He's waiting for you at home." Noah nodded, trusting her completely. That trust crushed her. Because if the surgery failed, there would be no home. That night, Emma sat alone in the dark hospital corridor. The fluorescent lights hummed softly. Other families slept in chairs, curled under thin blankets. She pulled Daniel's old firefighter badge from her purse. "I don't know how to do this without you," she whispered into the silence. A nurse approached gently. "Mrs. Carter, the surgery is scheduled for Thursday morning." Thursday. 2 days. 2 days to find peace with fear. 2 days to pretend she was strong. As Emma walked home through the cold drizzle, she didn't notice the car slowing beside her. Didn't notice the man watching. But Max did. From the front porch. His ears perked. His body stiffened. And somewhere deep inside him, instinct awakened. Thursday arrived too quickly. The hospital corridors felt colder than before. Noah wore a tiny hospital gown decorated with cartoon rockets. His hands trembled as they wheeled him toward the operating room. "Mom," he whispered. Emma leaned down. "If I go to heaven, will Dad find me?" Her heart shattered silently. "You're not going anywhere," she said firmly, though her voice shook. "You're coming home. I promise." Promises are easy to make. Harder to survive. The doors closed. 4 hours. For endless, suffocating hours. Emma prayed, not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, desperate conversation with a God she hadn't spoken to since Daniel's funeral. Finally, the surgeon stepped out. "We repaired the defect," he said carefully. "But the next 48 hours are critical." Critical. That word again. When Emma was finally allowed into the ICU, Noah looked so small. Tubes. Machines. Beeping monitors. She kissed his forehead. "I'm here." But exhaustion overcame her. She hadn't eaten properly in days. Hadn't slept in weeks. That night, driving home to shower, Emma's vision blurred. The rain returned. Her tire skidded slightly on the slick road. Then, headlights. Too close. Too fast. A truck swerved into her lane. The impact sent her car spinning into a ditch. Everything went dark. Hours later, at home, Max paced anxiously. He barked. Whined. Scratched at the door. Emma never came home. By midnight, the hospital called her phone. No answer. Morning came. Still no Emma. And in the ICU, Noah's condition worsened. "Where's my mom?" he asked weakly. No one had an answer. Social services began making quiet arrangements. If Emma didn't return, Noah would be placed temporarily into foster care. A recovering heart. A frightened child. Alone. When police finally located Emma's car off the roadside, she was unconscious but alive. Head trauma. Internal bleeding. Rushed to the same hospital. But in another wing. Neither knew the other was fighting for life under the same roof. And Max? Max had escaped the yard. Running. Sniffing. Searching. Following a trail no human could see. Straight toward St. Matthew's Medical Center. Hospitals don't allow dogs. But miracles don't follow rules. Max reached the hospital entrance at dusk. Mud covered his golden fur. His paws were bleeding from running miles on pavement. Security tried to shoo him away. But he didn't growl. Didn't bark wildly. He simply sat. Staring at the building. Waiting. Inside, a nurse scrolling local news saw a post. Missing widow Emma Carter found in critical condition after car crash. The same Emma Carter whose son had just undergone heart surgery. The story spread quickly among staff. And then something unexpected happened. A volunteer recognized Max from town. "That's her dog." Against policy, but moved by something deeper, they let Max inside briefly. He ran. Not randomly. Directly. First to the ICU where Noah lay. Noah's eyes fluttered open at the sound of claws on tile. "Max," he whispered. His heart monitor steadied. Doctors exchanged glances. Max licked Noah's hand gently. Then he pulled away. As if not finished. He continued down the hallway. Guided by scent. By loyalty. By love. Until he stopped outside another room. Emma's room. He scratched at the door desperately. A nurse opened it slightly. Max rushed to her bedside. Emma lay pale, unmoving. Max rested his head on her chest. And whimpered. Soft. Broken. Familiar. Emma's fingers twitched. Then moved. A tear slid from her closed eye. "Max," she breathed faintly. Doctors later called it neurological stimulation from emotional recognition. But everyone who saw it knew the truth. Love brought her back. News spread quickly. Local reporters picked up the story. Dog reunites critically ill mother and son. Donations began pouring in. From strangers across the country. From veterans who remembered Daniel. From parents who understood sacrifice. Within 48 hours, every medical bill was covered. And more. ACT4, the reunion that made everyone cry, healing and hope. 1 week later. 2 hospital beds were rolled into the same room. Emma, weak but awake. Noah, recovering but smiling. And between them, Max. Noah reached for his mother's hand. "You didn't break your promise," he said softly. Emma cried openly now. "I told you, you're coming home." They were discharged together 2 weeks later. But the story didn't end there. The town of Willow Creek organized a welcome home parade. Fire trucks lined the street in Daniel's honor. Neighbors held signs. "Heroes live here." Max wore a small red bandana that read, "Guardian Angel." Months later, Emma used part of the donations to start a foundation in Daniel's name, helping families struggling with pediatric medical bills. Because pain, when survived, becomes purpose. On the anniversary of the surgery, they visited Daniel's grave. Noah placed flowers carefully. "I think Dad sent Max that night," he said thoughtfully. Emma smiled through tears. "Maybe he did." As they walked away together, mother, son, and the dog who refused to give up, the sun broke through the clouds. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just enough to remind them. Even after the darkest storms, love stays. And sometimes, it has 4 paws.